Can we start from the Vermentino? You have Vermentino, Nuragus, and Cannonau, right?
Yes. So I have, I do have the Vermentino. So that's the first one to start with.
Okay.
So I'm in a room with natural light and have a nice white background here, and the wine looks clear with a pale straw color. It has a very intense aroma.
Here we are.
Okay, so you have it as well. Excellent.
So, just a few words about Vermentino, because the Vermentino grape variety is the most diffuse all over Sardinia, from the north to the south. In the north, there is the DOCG, so the guarantee is a guarantee nomination. In the south, DOC. So our Vermentino is Vermentino di Sardegna DOC. In Sardinia is diffused everywhere. In the north, in different ways, because the land, the soil is completely different from the south. Also for Audarya, for our company, the Vermentino is the most important grape, because in the 40 hectares is diffused everywhere in the 4 properties. And this kind of grape, particular because you find it also in other regions of Italy, like Tuscany or others, but of course in Sardinia is the best expression. Why? Because the Vermentino is also easy to grow compared to Nuragus, for example, that is another kind of variety that is diffused just here in the south of Sardinia. The Vermentino has like small bunches. And the most important characteristic about Vermentino is, first of all, the color, because when you see that, is like a straw yellow with a little bit of green tints. The green tints are typical of Vermentino grape variety. In particular, when it's a little bit young, it has the small green tints. When you smell it, of course, is a fruity and citrus flavors, and is fresh, mineral, brilliant. And one of the most important characteristics about this wine is that when you taste it, this is like a particular taste about almonds, okay? And always in the Vermentino, you have this kind of characteristic. The soil is climb limestone everywhere here in the States, so of course it's also a little bit salty. We have 2 kinds of Vermentino. This one, it is the traditional Vermentino Audarya with the little rabbit, and the Caminera. The second one that is like the selection. Now I check it, so I show you.
Okay.
Here you can see the Caminera, the 2 Vermentinos, Rabbit and Caminera.
Okay.
Which one is the difference? That this one that we are tasting now arrived from 3 of the 4 different properties that we have. So it's like a blend of 3 different areas. It's 100% Vermentino, of course, and the winemaking process is in the steel tanks. About the second one, so the Caminera, this kind of Vermentino arrived just from here, the Audarya estate, is like a crew, and the winemaking process is in the cement tanks. Also, the first one is ready usually in 7 months, one like 1 year. Now we have the 2018, and on September gonna be ready the 2019. Okay, so the new vintage. What about this one? We are in 2019 vintage now. Okay, so this one is the most important difference. Of course, when we talk about Vermentino, we talk about Sardinia, but you know that Sardinia is not just Vermentino and Cannonau, but we have the Nuragus grape variety. Did you find it now?
Yes, I have the Nuragus in front of me as well.
Mm-hmm. Because we can see the difference between the Vermentino and the Nuragus right now.
Yeah, so I can, the Nuragus looks like it has a deeper color, a more intense straw moving toward a yellow color.
Yeah.
So you can't see without the white background, but this one is the Vermentino, this one is the Nuragus.
Okay, so now I change. Here is the Nuragus, the little fairy. You can see from the Nuragus the most important thing. The Nuragus is an authentic grape native from Sardinia, from the south. So it's Nuragus di Cagliari Doc. Cagliari is the most important town in the south of Sardinia. And we are like producers about this kind of grape. In the past, was the most important grape. In particular, my grandfather had 70 hectares about this kind of grape. Today we have like 6 hectares. So of course, you know, was like in France, in other parts of the Europe, to make blends and important wines. And then, like in the 70s, the state gave money to remove the vineyards because there was an overproduction. So 90% of people prefer to remove the Nuragus grape and to plant the Vermentino. Why? Because of the Nuragus, it's difficult to work on the vineyard, no? Like it grows too much, so you have to pruning it like a few times. To check it every day. Also in harvest time is not easy to work. Now, what's going on? That of course the market is looking for authentic grapes, and of course this one is the most authentic. And it's difficult to find it because we are 7 producers, but there is a big request now, an high request. So we are planting like a few hectares more. But of course, we need a lot of this kind of grape. What about the Nuragus? Of course, the color is the first thing, because here is a straw yellow, but is sometimes similar to a gold yellow when it's a bit older, because now it's 2019, so it's a bit young. And in particular, when you smell it, here is like a semi-aromatic wine. So, of course, here you have like essential herbs or different kind of flavors. It's not like the Vermentino fruity, okay? Of course, in a second time, is also a bit fruity and similar, but the first characteristic is that it's like a semi-aromatic wine. Of course, it's a soft wine, but in the same time, this one with like fish food or similar is one of the most interesting. And I love it with the Sardinian fregola. Sardinian fregola is like a small semolino with clams. And I love it because with Nuragus is a perfect matching. And I think that when we talk about Nuragus, we talk about the history of our island of Sardinia. Also the name Nuragus arrived from the nuraghe. What is the nuraghe? In Sardinia, we have an historical buildings named Nuraghe, where in the past lived the shepherd. So there is an important culture about that. So Nuragus is the most important Sardinian grape, in particular in the south, but you know, in Cagliari in the past was like the daily wine, no? Everybody, every day drink this kind of grape. So we are proud of it, of course. This one too arrived from plain limestone soil, about 160 meters above the sea level. And of course, the winemaking process is just in the still tanks, okay? Because it's a fresh wine, good acidity, so it's perfect to make it in the steel tanks. So, chin chin.
Very good. Chin chin, yes.
Cheers.
Salute.
So you can find also the difference because we tried a few minutes ago the Vermentino that is like fruity, salty, with a perfect acidity and similar. This one is like a semi-aromatic with the essential herbs. Is another kind of word, no?
Yeah. So the Vermentino. First of all, it has a very powerful aroma. I could smell it in the glass sitting next to me. It's not even under my nose. When I put it to my nose, the character that stands out for me is it's like standing in a field of wildflowers. But then below that, I get sort of the citrusy. I'd call it like an orange grapefruit, almost like an orange grapefruit rind with a very ripe and fresh character to it.
Yeah, the fresh character is always in this kind of wines. All of our wines are fresh and mineral, so this is so important for us and for our production, of course.
Right, and that was the other character that I wanted to mention was the minerality. I definitely can pick up the limestone minerality there, and then I think if I'm not mistaken, I get like the way I describe this character is lager beer, but I think you do some aging on lees. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So it's an amazingly complex white wine. I'm really enjoying it. There's a lot going on here, and everything kind of pops for me, but it's also very well in balance.
Yeah, it's a good balanced wine, of course. Let's go to the reds.
I haven't tried I haven't tried
Nuragus.
the Nuragus, right? So I'll give that a taste here. The other thing that I liked about the Vermentino was it has a nice crisp acidity to it, and
yeah, that is the important characteristic about the Sardinian Nuragus. Yes. Now you tell me which one is your favorite about Vermentino or Nuragus.
I think they both would have a place in my wine rack for sure. I think the Nuragus is a little bit more restrained, I think, than the Vermentino, but it has a nice amount of complexity to it as well. Again, that sort of fresh citrus, more of like a lemon character, I would call it. Definitely the limestone is very prominent. The minerality from the limestone. I get maybe a little bit of lease aging on it. Do you age that one on the lease?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, so you can, again, we all perceive things differently. I pick up that character as something like lager beer and sometimes like fresh baked bread. And then there is a little bit of a floral component that I'd call it like wildflowers, but not as intense as the Vermentino had. But everything is very well balanced with it. It's a very well produced wine.
Powerful wine, but in the same time, it's balanced.
Absolutely, no, wonderful job producing both of those wines. Okay, are you ready to move to the reds?
Which one? Monica first?
It looks like the Monica would probably be the better one to do first. Is that your opinion also?
Yeah, because the Monica is like is a fresh sweet wine. It's like you know, a strong white wine, no? When you think it, and
Right.
it's nice because now in summertime, a bit chilly is perfect.
So the Monica is the zebra label, is that right?
Yeah, the zebra.
And those are your designs. Are those labels are your designs?
Yeah, we found it in an old French book, La Parisienne, because we want to think about wine world, like party moments when you are talking with friends or similar. So it's like a fabulous word. And when we found these images, you know, are not from Sardinia. No, usually in Sardinian labels, you have the traditional stone buildings or traditional things about our culture. So when my father saw this kind of label, said, "But what are you doing? Are not Sardinian, no?" But it's funny because you know, I think that they are like, first of all, hybrids because are half females and half men. So like us, because half of our tradition and innovation, no, tradition of our grandfather and the innovation of us that we are the third generation. And then in the same time, they make an impression because sometimes you remember Audarya because you remember the rabbit or the zebra or the fairy, etc. So this is the fabulous word of Audarya for Audarya line that included the Monica, Cannonau, Nuragus, and Vermentino. About the selection, we have different labels like that one about Caminera. Caminera is the second Vermentino, the powerful one. Caminera in Sardinian language, because we have Italian and Sardinian one, is just like the way between the lines, you know, the rows. We, we named it Caminera. And so in the selection line, we have the name, the grape variety, and the name of the winery. So it's a bit different because there are not the figures that make an impression, of course. So we need to make it different. What about Monica? Monica is the most authentic grape about red grapes in Sardinia. Diffused just in Sardinia, 100% Monica. Another important thing is that all of our wines are 100% of the grape variety, so not blended wines, okay? The Monica arrived from the Audarya estate, that is this one behind me, and here too the soil is clean limestone. With our weather that is like Mediterranean, you know it, sunny and windy, and the vineyards are 20 years old, so in one of the best moments of its age. Everything in our we pick the grapes just by hand. Everything about this kind of grape is made in steel tanks. Because Monica is a fresh wine. No? When you think about Monica, sometimes you think like a strong rosé. No, also the color you see. Yes, it's a ruby red, but there is the typical undertone about Monica grape. No, is an intense wine. When you smell it, you have also like the aromas that are traditional of the grape variety. So this is important because when you smell like the grape on the vineyard, like in harvest time, and then you smell the wine here, is the same. So it's an authentic grape. Then is a soft wine, fresh, and I think equilibrated wine, of course. And it's nice because can you match it with, yes, everything you want. So it's pizza, food, fish food, meat food, everything, because it's a dynamic wine, I think, no? thinking about it. In the past was the daily wine about my grandfather. He loved this wine, and every day he had this one to have lunch, because of course it's easy, no? Easy to drink and also easy to have with different dishes, no? So that's important. So now it's a bit chilly because here, of course, it's time. So outside is like 35, 40 degrees. So also the wine need to be a little bit chilly.
Yes, I get a very intense, like a fresh red cherry, a little bit of red raspberry. It's the color is beautiful. It's a beautiful ruby color. It looks like a gemstone in my glass, and I also pick up some floral characters, a little bit of fresh red roses in it, and I get some of the minerality too as well. So some of the limestone from the soil. So the actually you look at the color and the intensity of the color. It's a lighter colored red wine, but it drinks like a substantial, like it has a lot of character to it. I like it. Very good. And there's no, I don't think you aged this on oak. Is that right? There's no oak aging on this. Okay.
Still thanks. Still thanks, and like in 8, 9 months is ready. So also the winemaking process is not so difficult.
That's really wonderful. I could see why your father would drink that every day.
Every day by the glass is perfect. Also for an aperitivo. Now in summertime, yeah, it works.
And you said, and so Monica, or Monica, as well as the Nuragus that we had before. So those are grapes that are native to specifically your part of Sardinia.
Yeah. Nuragus about white grapes and Monica about red grapes are the two most important grapes of Sardinia, because you find them just in Sardinia Island. The Nuragus in particular just in the south. The Monica now everywhere in Sardinia, north and south. So we are proud of this kind of grapes, of course, because are native and authentic, of course, from our island. But you know, when you talk about Sardinia, somebody didn't know Sardinia, but who knows it tells all of the time, yeah, I know Sardinia, Vermentino and Cannonau, no, because are the most production grapes in Sardinia. But of course, it's not just Vermentino and Cannonau, but we love to show and to talk about Nuragus and Monica, that are our important grapes, and we are proud of it, of course.
There's something about it that reminds me a little bit of Pinot Noir, actually, like a very a well-produced, characterful Pinot Noir.
Yeah, somebody told me, but compare with an international grape, what I can think about, maybe a little bit about Pinot Noir, but it's a different grape, no, you know, maybe their roots, we don't know, but also Sardinian land and Sardinian windy days and similar help it to be like a light and fresh wine.
So your climate in your part of Sardinia, you mentioned that the temperature is warm there today, 42 degrees centigrade, but you have winds also, and I guess the winds help to cool the vines.
Yeah, we have the Mistral that is important for the vines. In these days, today too, we have it. You can see that a little bit.
Oh, right.
That's important because, of course, our climate is Mediterranean. So the winters are mild with a bit of rainfalls, and the summertime is sunny and windy, so it's perfect for this kind of grapes like Nuragus Monica or Vermentino and Cannonau. In the same time, sometimes it's not easy because in summertime it's dry, so we are lucky because everywhere in the 4 states, so in the 4 different properties, we have the water. So for the emergency irrigation, we are ready. But it's not so common that everybody have the emergency irrigation here in Sardinia. So sometimes it's a big problem because everything could be dry.
Is that the same Mistral that comes from the south of France, or is that a different Mistral?
Yeah, it's the Mediterranean, so maybe it's the same, yes.
And I think the effect of that, I talked about the character of the fruit. It's very fresh and ripe to me. Like it's not a warm, like some of the warmer climate red wines, they get more of like a cooked character or baked character. So this has a very kind of fresh and ripe when I try it. Very good. I enjoyed it.
Was your first time about Monica grape?
Yes, that's the first time I tried Monica.
That's interesting. A new experience for you.
Yes, I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, so next one is the Cannonau.
Cannonau, okay. And this is the lion.
Yeah, here is the Cannonau. The lion because he's the king of Sardinian red wines. So, of course, he's the most known all over the world, and also is the longevity wine because an American doctor told that one of the most important characteristic about Cannonau is in his properties and the long life of the Sardinian people is linked to Cannonau grape. I don't know, I hope that. And I know that Sardinia is one of the blue zone all over the world, like Japan Island, the Sardinian Island, where too many people are living 100 years. So of course it's the lifestyle that is healthy and peaceful, but in the same time also what you drink and eat. So in this moment we are talking about Cannonau, but everybody also in Sardinia have the vegetable garden, so our lifestyle is too healthy. So, Cannonau di Sardegna 100%. The Cannonau usually is a ruby red, but is not so much intense as you can see from here. When it's intense is because it's from other parts of Sardinia, like in the center of Sardinia is strong and intense wine. We are in the south, close to the beach, so of course is a bit different because here you have different flavors about red fruits and then a bit of slightly spicy flavors, but the winemaking process is just in the still tanks, not in the oak. So, of course, here too is a well-structured wine, warm and persistent, of course, but in the same time elegant. It's not the classic Cannonau from Sardinia that is too strong sometimes. And this is good with pecorino cheese, other kinds of cheese, or lamb, different kind of roast meat. And of course, is the most known. When you talk about Sardinia, Cannonau is the king of Sardinian red wines. That's right. And the Cannonau, like the Vermentino, is a grape that we grow everywhere in the 4 states. So about red wines is the most common grape for us.
So I get the similar the sort of red fruits, the fresh red cherry, a little bit tart maybe. I get some earth, a little bit of maybe what I call forest floor, and then I also pick up some of the limestone minerality. Maybe some fresh cut violets.
Compared to Monica, of course, the Cannonau is a bit stronger and a bit powerful, but in the same time is an elegant wine and is a balanced wine. It's not the classic kind of Cannonau, because somebody has the idea about Cannonau like a strong, powerful red, intense red wine, but that's not our area Cannonau.
I think the fruit on the Cannonau maybe has more of a ripe character than the Monica would have. So like it's almost like the fruit was picked later. Is maybe it's one of the differences that I pick up. But it does have some intensity to it. There's no oak aging on this. Is that correct?
No, no.
And which
and a little part is vinificated in the tanks, another part in the cement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but not in the oak.
Yeah, I think that earthy character is also, which I tend to like that. Is this a wine you would age, or you would keep around for a while, or would you drink it within a couple years?
Maybe like in 1 year, this kind of wine, and then you can age it like 7, 8 years, and it's good. It's fine. Yeah. Of course, it's not an oak wine, so you can't age it like 12, 15 years, but 8, 10, it's fine.
And this wine is not high in alcohol either, is that right?
No, it's the funny thing is that because as you can see, is 13 of alcohol, this one. So it's not so much because usually in Sardinia our weather is warm, hot, so the sugar concentration is high, and in the same time also the alcohol concentration of our wines is like 14, 14.5 about the reds, about the whites of 13, 13.5, but is high compared to the Italian wine, alcohol percentage is a bit high. But it's the funny thing because we are an island, so of course we are like another country inside Italy. So it's a completely different land, soil, weather, climate, everything.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting to taste these next to each other, the Monica and the Cannonau, as it was with the two white wines. I'm starting to feel the tannins from the Cannonau. I can feel it in my teeth a little bit. So it's really a well. I think it's got a lot of structure and a lot of character, and I think 13% alcohol is it's very characterful. So these were all really good.